Hello everyone, this is Dr. Alex Lee. In this module, we will talk about relationship with supervisor. Nearly all students are assigned a research supervisor when conducting their independent research studies. Supervisor guide the students throughout the process and remind them about potential pitfalls. They are the primary source of information and support for the students. Maintaining a good and functional relationship is critical for all students' research processes. However, given the close relationship between the duo, conflicts and complications often arise. Most of them are due to different expectations and a lack of efficient communications. In this module, we will first describe potential issues according to the 4 ethical principles: beneficence, fidelity, respect, and justice, introduced in earlier modules. We will then visit some guidelines and remedies in certain situations. Some guidelines are more relevant to students, while some applies to supervisors, co-supervisors, or even other working parties in the university. As supervision meetings dominate the learning process, the commonest disagreement relates to the supervision's quality. Sometimes students and supervisors have different expectations about supervisions. Some students expect their supervisors to teach them things like lectures, pointing them out exactly which research articles to read, and answering all their questions in a snap. On another side, it is unrealistic for supervisors to expect students to present a perfect research plan in the first month. Both parties shall perceive it as a journey in producing new knowledge. There is no definitive way to accomplish the task. It is a journey for the student ultimately become the expert in the field under the supervisor's guidance. For a smooth supervision process, the students and the supervisors shall develop a consensus of how the supervision meetings shall be done. How frequent shall it be? What shall be discussed? They will vary at different phases of the candidature. At the end of the day, it is a compromise of working styles. The students shall be well prepared for the supervisions. If the current goal is to establish a research background, the student shall read relevant articles and papers. If the current goal is data collections, the student shall ensure the data collections process and prepare a meaningful progress report to the supervisor. The supervisors shall remain mindful of students' research topics, questions, hypotheses, and progress. Sometimes, students may develop an interest unfamiliar to their supervisors. It could be a new research methodology or an interdisciplinary idea. The supervisors shall reflect on their knowledge and remain vigilant on whether they are providing supervisions in the correct directions. They shall discuss with the students and the relevant bodies, usually the department or the graduate school, whether appointing a co-supervisor is necessary. The co-supervisors then can augment the weakness in research supervisions. Good supervision shall provide mutual benefit to the students and the supervisors. The students learn from the supervisor's experience, while the supervisors shall also be stimulated by the students' insights. Both parties shall contribute to the process to ensure mutual benefits. Boundary issues may not intuitively fall under the ethical principle of beneficence. However, handling the supervisor-student relationship too carelessly would bring harm to both parties. Usually, the supervisor and students share a common research interest and develop similar work practices. Some students may develop a reliance on the supervisor, which is more common among research postgraduate students, since their supervisors are their primary source of resources, including knowledge exchange, workspace arrangements, scholarships, and job applications. One shall not take it for granted and keep in mind that the supervisor sometimes cannot provide the resources you want. Perhaps the resources are limited or simply not for you. Further, an excellent supervisor-student relationship would usually go beyond the candidatures and develop a lifelong relationships and sometimes long-term friendship. A boundary blurring will sometimes occur. The supervisor shall stay alert to these complications since they are more powerful in the relationship. Also, students are less aware, thus more susceptible to this problem. The supervisors shall adhere to the code of conduct in their respective fields to avoid falling into this pitfall. Like conducting research, remaining faithful is still an important principle in dealing with supervisor-student relationship. As mentioned before, the students and the supervisors shall agree upon a meeting schedule and topic to their best benefit. It is equally important to adhere to the plan. Works in academia are full of unexpected intrusions. Students need to deal with classes, assessments, and examinations. Supervisors must teach, commit to other projects, administrative duties, etc. There are also academic workshops, seminars, and conferences that either the supervisor or the student may attend overseas. Thus, it is essential to plan a workable supervision schedule, and both parties shall prepare and follow it to ensure adequate supervisions. Besides attending the meetings, both parties shall remain committed to the supervisions. Some students may find following their supervisor's advice and suggestions difficult. They will be confused. However, the supervisor may believe that the students will gradually learn and pick up in the process. It is, however, not always true. The student may eventually lose track or lose interest in the topic if this confusing period is too long. Usually, the student will be the first to notice these issues, and they shall reflect this truthfully to their supervisors. Notably, the supervisors shall remain open to these kind of reflections. One may need to change the supervision style, or if it relates to research expertise, one shall consider appointing a co-supervisor. Further, it is not uncommon that supervisors may leave their positions before their students graduate. It is crucial to keep the students well informed whenever possible. Then the student may accommodate their research plan accordingly. Suppose it is impossible to complete the work before the supervisor leaves the positions. In that case, the supervisors shall strive to ensure a smooth transition of the student to another supervisor's department, or even another university whenever possible. Supervisors shall remain vigilant about playing the role model to students in keeping the ethical standard in research. Minor violations will perhaps encourage the students to commit similar errors in the future. Further, supervisors shall be mindful of the quality research procedures mentioned in the modules about replicability. Their attitude to publication bias and peer hacking will easily influence their students' perceptions of the scientific community and their research practices. Students shall take their supervisors' advice and guidance seriously. Nonetheless, respect in supervisions shall be mutual. Two common problems in supervisions are the intrusions of supervisors' idea and the exploitations of research students. On the one hand, some students may feel that their supervisors overly control the project objective and progresses. On the other hand, the supervisor may perceive the students' decisions as suboptimal or even wrong. There is no best way to resolve this conflict, while interactions is the only key. Supervisors shall provide constructive feedback supported by evidence and explain their suggestions carefully. In some cases, it is a matter of balance in allowing students to try their suboptimal decisions, as long as it will not jeopardize the whole project. Students, particularly research postgraduate students, contribute to other research projects. Some contributions are paid and are part of their studentships, supporting their study. They may also contribute to others' projects without compensations, which is supposed to provide relevant research experiences. Supervisors shall pay attention to the amount of work put on the students and act swiftly and reduce the workload if these activities influence students' progress in their thesis. As mentioned earlier, sometimes the students may request for unavailable resources and expect the supervisor providing to them. For example, access to certain data source, research equipment, or even a job opportunity after graduations. It is also a kind of exploitation. Again, it is a matter of communications with mutual respect. Most supervisors will strive to support their students with all their available resources. However, students shall not take it for granted. Research groups are common nowadays. Many researchers collaborate on various projects. Therefore, research students will also play a part in these groups. Very often, there are members from different ranks, including professors, lab managers, collaborators from other institutions, postdoctoral fellows, research students in senior year, etc. In the old days, we joke about having new research students doing all the chores, from cleaning to preparing coffee. This kind of blatant unfairness seldom actually occurs. Nonetheless, such a hierarchy may still lead to some subtle incidents. For example, some new students may be asked to do a lot of labor-intensive work, data collections, data cleaning, handling participants' recruitment, but not so much involved in intellectual and academic exchanges with group members. The supervisors and lab managers shall maintain an inclusive environment allowing all members to participate in various research activities. Authorship issues are common conflicts between the students and their supervisors. Let's discuss the students' thesis first. It shall be a piece of students' work. However, nearly in all cases, the supervisors contribute substantially to it too. It is quite common to include the supervisor as co-authors. Some students may think differently. Further, the collaborations does not limit to publications of the student thesis. There are usually some side projects. Students may expect their name to be included, while the supervisors may not agree. There are also issues about the order of authorship. Usually, the first author is considered to be the main contributor to the publications. The team, including the supervisor and the students, may disagree. Some may not want to be included as one of the authors in some situations. The supervisor, the students, and the research team shall reach a consensus about the arrangement of authorship as early as possible. Senior members shall not take advantage of the students who may not understand these issues well. Nowadays, many journals ask for the contributions of individual authors. The team shall also agree on how to report that. Another related issue is data ownership. Is it owned by the students, the supervisors, or share the resources of the laboratory? There shall be a consensus on it too. The supervisors and the students may consider signing a data ownership agreement in case the student may not want to continue working in academia and thus have little motivations to publish the work. Then the supervisor may continue the publications process, or vice versa. Students, in particular research students, may not have a complete picture of the resources available to them. In research supervisions, the research supervisor is often the primary source of help. Students seek information from them and ask them for the guidance on various issues. Many students worry that their relationship with their supervisors turns shallow. Then they will lose all the support. Although we encourage students talking to their supervisor openly when problems arise, they are not alone. As mentioned above, students may seek help from their co-supervisors concerning academic inputs. If the students have more complicated issues about the supervisions, for example, inadequate supervisions, or being treated unfairly, they shall turn to a person in charge of the program, usually the program director, chair of the research committee, or the head of department. The student shall contact the graduate school if the conflicts cannot be resolved at the departmental level. The last sections of this module is for all parties involved in the student's research process. We will describe general guidelines for students, their supervisors, co-supervisors, and co-workers. Students shall prepare for the learning process, mainly the research supervision meeting with their supervisors, not only by attending them, but students shall also be well prepared and monitor their progress vigilantly. Remain faithful in the process and keep all the ethical principles in mind. Students have first-hand experience in the research process. Reporting untruthful or falsified information will probably deceive their supervisors. At the end of the day, these will affect their graduations. Besides their supervisors, the students work with many different parties during their studies. Some may teach them, while some work with them. To a certain extent, they will treat the student as co-workers. In comparisons, they may be less lenient to the students, and it does not imply anything terrible. Simply put, the students will learn to work with non-academics to prepare them for their future careers. Last but not least, the students shall maintain boundaries with their supervisors. Many research supervisors will continue collaborations with their students. Some become their students' mentor and provide advice on various aspects. Some will become lifelong friends. Students shall be aware anything outside research supervision is not guaranteed. introducing you to the supervisor's research networks does not necessarily imply securing a job positions. Keeping boundaries is also the first guideline to supervisors, who shall stay more vigilant to this than the students, considering their experiences. Supervisors shall reject students' inappropriate requests firmly. Inappropriate requests can be research-related. For example, some students may request authorship based on menial works done on a project. It is crucial to let them know how authorship works in academia. Some requests is more personal. Social outings are usual, however, one shall not allow personal feelings to interfere with professional judgment. The ugly truth is that it is still a process of weeding out less successful students. Productive researchers usually attract a lot of research students. Keeping track of their research interests and progresses is the key to a good supervision relationship. Last, but probably the most important dues for supervisors is to become good role models adhering to a high-standard research ethics principle. We have described the advantages of having a co-supervisor in the research process. Nonetheless, it may introduce a new set of conflicts. The supervisors and co-supervisors shall identify and resolve potential theoretical and philosophical disputes at the early stage. They shall avoid offering entirely different opinions to the students. It will become students' worst nightmare. In the process, they shall also demonstrate respect for different opinions. It will become another valuable learning experience for the students. Administrative and support staff contribute significantly to the research students' learning experience. For research postgraduate students, broadly speaking, they are academics in training. It is essential to learn a proper attitude to work with administrative and support officers, including IT support and facility support. Co-workers shall demonstrate higher patience to research students since they do not have a good understanding for administrative procedures. And importantly, they may not have full access to these informations.